Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The moral of the image that you just saw, as well as the upcoming review that you're about to see, is basically this. Never trust an imposter unless it's this awesome guy right here. What's going on, people? LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back to Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Summer Kaiju, and welcome back to another great video. And today we're taking a break from X Plus. Even though I have to be honest here, X Plus will be a part of this video later on, but X Plus is not the focus of this video. And today we're taking a look at a 30cm resin kit of the Imposter Godzilla 1974, also known as the disguised Mechagodzilla from 1974's epic kaiju film, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. And as you can see, I have the beautiful model kit here, you know, fully painted and assembled. So yes, this will be the focus of this video right here. And this model kit is brought to you by Radioactive Resin Kaiju Sculpts and Kits. Please check out their Facebook page. That's where I got the kit from. And I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to 4 special people for making this video happen. First and foremost, Burlee Vang, one of my best friends ever in the Kaiju collecting community, and personally, as a matter of fact. Burlee Vang and I have been friends for the past 6 years. And he's the one that's mainly responsible behind this sculpt. He was the one that made this sculpt happen. This is his idea. This was his vision. And I want to give him a huge shout out and thank you for making this happen. Also, Paul Gill, as I understand it, Paul Gill's the one, I guess, from Gillman Productions. He was the one that was responsible for the mass molding and casting of this kit to be produced in a certain quantity. So I want to give a huge shout out to him for making this happen. I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Steve Ceragioli. I believe he had a hand in making this kit happen also. Also, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you. And finally, to Mark Seng. Yes, great kaiju builder and painter extraordinaire, artist per se. Thank you so much for building and painting this kit to my specifications. Thank you so much to you. So to you fine gentlemen, to you 4 fine gentlemen, Burlee Vang, Steve Ceragioli, Paul Gill, and last and certainly but not least, Mark Seng. Thank you so much for making this kit happen for me. Now the backstory about this kit is this. I got this kit late last year, early December, and I got it built and painted late December. And this was something that I've been waiting for a long time throughout the year 2018. And this was actually a long time coming. I remember when Burlee was asking folks to supply him reference pics of the Imposter Godzilla from the film, you know. And he got to work on making this kit happen. And for what I've seen and what I see here, he has done a masterful job of making this kit happen, you know. Kudos to him, because this was his vision. Like I said, this was his idea. So once again, Burlee has knocked it out of the park. And this is not actually the first figure that he has made, at least model resin kit that he has made. He has made a 30cm resin kit of of Gabra from Godzilla's Revenge, nicknamed the Bully. And he also made this one. And his upcoming next project, from what I understand, will be a 30cm female Muto from Godzilla 2014. So yes, Burlee is really, really busy trying to crank out these characters. And that's the thing. Whenever X Plus, makes figures, they have tackled pretty much all of the characters from the Godzilla universe. Of course, there are a few there that are out there that they have not tackled yet. So that's why it's good, in my opinion, to go to this extra resource, when it comes to model kits. Now, you know me, when it comes to my channel, I mostly devote my collecting expertise or my collecting focus to X Plus figures. But every now and then, I do will take a dabble into the model kit market, because I have a few model kits in my collection. And this was a no-brainer for me because I love the Imposter Godzilla 1974. And once again, like I said, it's great to have these model kits of these characters that we have not seen yet, from either characters that X Plus has not tackled yet, or maybe they probably won't be able to tackle due to licensing issues, So it's nice to have that outlet where you can go to these great model kit companies, or these small model kit independent contractors, and get these great kits of these great characters that we may not see from X Plus or anybody else. Because when it comes to the when it comes to the Imposter 1974 Godzilla, there's not too many collectibles of him out there for what I've seen. I know they made a Bandai version, like a 6-inch or 8-inch Bandai version. I know they made a Marmot kit version, at least a Marmot version, I should say. I don't know too much about the Bandai and the Marmot, so I'm sorry for lack of information. But I know they exist. I know that they are out there. But far as like X Plus or anything like that, they have not really got a lot of him out there. I do remember seeing a Kaiju kit of the Imposter Godzilla, but once again, I forgot who it was or what it was. But once again, my point is that there's not too many character representation from a collectible standpoint of the Imposter Godzilla out there. So that's why this was a great acquisition for me. Now, with that being said, I wanted to get it, but it's a model kit, so you have to build it and paint it yourself. I know for a fact that I'm good at a lot of things, but this is one thing that I am not gifted at. I'm not like David.co. I'm not like Burlee Vang. I'm not like Mark Seng. I don't have the tools to put this figure together and make it as perfect as possible, at least to my specifications. With me personally, I tried a couple times. I have tried to make a couple model kits or build a couple model kits. The problem is I get really frustrated so easily because, once again, I want things to be perfect, or at least the best that it can be. And I know I don't have the tools or skill set to make that happen. There are people that were born with gifts like this. Like I said, like David.co, like Steve Ceragioli, like Burlee Vang, like Mark Seng. Those guys in particular have great God-given, just amazing talents to build and paint these kits to look exactly how the Kaiju looked on the film. Once again, I don't have that skill set. I don't have that skill set. So that's why it's nice to have friends like those fine gentlemen, like I mentioned, that you can go into and say, hey, you mind building and painting this kit for me? And in Mark Seng-Yang's particular case, he built and painted this kit exactly how I wanted him to be, So he has done a great job building and painting this kit. Once again, Burlee Vang has done a great job of the original vision behind this kit. Also, Steve Ceragioli and Paul Gill for molding and casting this kit. So all those four fine gentlemen deserve a round of applause from all of us for making this happen, And you had to pre-order this kit through the Radioactive Resin Kaiju Sculpts and Kits Facebook page. Maybe they have a couple left. You might want to hit Burlee Vang up. He's on Facebook, or maybe try Steve Ceragioli or whatever. But go to that Facebook page, Radioactive Resin Kaiju Sculpts and Kits, and see maybe you can try and get yourselves one. That's pretty much it with the backstory involving me and this magnificent figure / model kit of the Imposter Godzilla 1974, and I love it. And when it comes to Godzilla like creatures, and Godzilla has had his share of imitators, at least creatures that were created that were similar to him. Imposter Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, that shoots to the top of the list, Biolante, Space Godzilla, Godzilla Jr., or even the Godzilla Tower. Godzilla has had his share of interesting doppelgangers. I guess that's how you pronounce that word. But basically, just imitators or somewhat similar creatures of himself. And besides Mechagodzilla, I would have to say Fake Godzilla or the Imposter Godzilla is like my favorite one. So that's why I had to have this figure or had this model kit in my collection. And hopefully at some point, X Plus will getting around to making one. I have an idea on how they can do that, which I will detail towards the tail end of the video. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So now let's get up close and personal with this guy right here. And I'm going to just provide some inserts while I talk about it. Once again, this is the Imposter Godzilla 1974. Also known as the disguised Mechagodzilla from Godzilla's Mechagodzilla 1974. And as you can see, Burlee has done a great job with this sculpt. Now, it originally came with the alternate set of arms. Now, as you can see, involving the sculpt right here with his arms and his hands in this position. His hands in this position to be reminiscent of that part in the film when Anguirus comes across this version of Godzilla for the first time. And Anguirus launches himself at Godzilla, or at least this version of Godzilla, peeling off his flesh, exposing the metal underneath. And at that point, Godzilla and Anguirus are basically sizing each other up. And before Anguirus charges him, Godzilla, or the disguised Mechagodzilla, does this little like formation with his hands, basically saying like he does this and clutches his hands and brings it close to his body, basically saying, "All right, Anguirus, bring it." Let's see what you got, So that's what is incorporated in this sculpt right here. Once again, it did come with an alternate set of arms where you can have it like this, or an alternate set where his hands are curled upright like this, kind of like Shin Godzilla's hands or his arms. But I opted to go for this look, and I think he looks incredible. Detail on the sculpt is amazing. The tree bark light skin all over the kit. Is so amazing. Far as Mark Sang-Yang's expertise, he has put a charcoal black all over the kit with some highlights all over the body to create some more depth and give the figure a lot more exuberance. I really do enjoy that. His feet. Let's talk about his feet for a couple seconds. Now, his toes are kind of like close together. This was reminiscent of the suit at the time, at least it was reminiscent of the structure of how Godzilla was during this time. At this point, he has evolved from prehistoric nightmare from 54 or to a reptilian villain in 62. Now he's in full-fledged superhero mode. So his look kind of reflects that, whatever, where his toes are kind of like bunched together, where they kind of look kind of cute, And since this particular disguised Godzilla is based off the Godzilla from at that particular period of time, I like how they were able to put this level of realism into like his feet, where it didn't look too far off from the real King of the Monsters, and I enjoy that so much. The tail is really, really long, and that's one thing I probably would say it probably has been taken a little bit too far, or maybe creative liberties were taken here, because if you watch the film, at least that part in the film when the disguised Godzilla is basically throwing Anguirus up and down in the air and bashing him on the ground, slamming him to the ground. At that moment when you see him grabbing Anguirus' tail and just whipping him up and down into the air and onto the ground, you can see the full suit at that point from the side. And his tail really wasn't that long, to be honest with you. But when it comes to this sculpt, it's made a little bit longer what it should be. But at the same time, that's not a bad thing in my opinion. But for those who OCD, you just keep that in mind, that the tail is not as long as it was on film, but in the sculpt here, it looks really, really, really good. The dorsal plates are popping, with the silver type of sheen all over the paint scheme, all over the dorsal plates. Once again, the shapes of the dorsal plates are basically reminiscent of this version of Godzilla at the time during the 70s. So they have done a great job with this. With the shapes of the dorsal plates. Once again, Mark Sang-Yang has done a great job with the color on the dorsal plates. So that's really amazing. Last and certainly but not least is the face. The face basically was the biggest dead giveaway. This was not really the real Godzilla, honestly. He has somewhat of a smile on his face, like an evil smile on his face. That's probably the main selling point of this model kit. It's the face because it looks so amazing. It really does. It looks so amazing. Like I said, with his teeth popping out like that, sharp rows of teeth on both his lower and upper jaws. Like I said, like he's smiling, like he has an evil grin on his face, like he's enjoying doing what he's doing. Just the face overall, it's just awesome. Once again, a great job with this sculpt. So overall, with the sculpt, the dorsal plates, his hands, or at least his arm positioning, his feet, his long tail, they have done a great job with this overall kit of the Imposter Godzilla 1974. Great job. Great job. Basically, it speaks for yourself. At this point in time, you know, as you hear me talking, I'm kind of like trying to find the words to say to describe this model kit because it's so amazing. I really am a loss for words. Ever since I got this thing like a month ago, I have not been able to stop looking at it because this is such a great representation of the Imposter Godzilla 1974, and it's just a shame that we don't see much more of collectibles of him out there. Hopefully that will change. Because this year does mark the 45th anniversary of Godzilla's Mechagodzilla 1974, and I know the X Plus in particular are going to be releasing a gigantic Mechagodzilla 1974. Hopefully this year, you know, to coincide with the 45th anniversary of the film. Hopefully they will dab into other kaiju from that film, namely Godzilla himself, because we have not seen a Godzilla figure from X Plus from that particular film. You know, maybe a 30cm King Seesaw or whatever. But I hope at some point they will tackle this. I hope they will. And once again, I have an idea on how they can do that. And actually, y'all, the audience, or whoever's watching this video, will actually, I need y'all to have a hand in that, and I will detail that towards the tail end of the video. But that's pretty much it with the sculpt, you know, the size. Oh, one more thing about the size. This is a full 30 centimeter kit. He's roughly 12 inches tall at least. So it's a good size kit. And also one thing, which is a testament of how great Burlee is, the kit itself is somewhat bulky, you know, where, you know, it looks like the real Godzilla, but you know it's not. But he kind of made it where he's somewhat bulky, where there is something inside of this version of Godzilla, you know. So I like that Burlee kind of added more and more realism to this model kit by adding a little bit more mass to the figure to kind of suggest that something was inside of this Godzilla, which is something that's not really done too well in the original film because it's pretty much the same size. The Imposter Godzilla 74 suit is pretty much the same size as the regular Godzilla 1974 suit, but with this skull, Burlee kind of worked that in there. He kind of worked a little bit more of a size into the skull to try to imply maybe there's more to meet the eye with this Godzilla. Aside from the fact, you know, you had the torn off flesh, exposing his metal interior on the side of his arms, thanks to Angus. But overall, such a great sculpt, such a great model kit, and I had to have this figure. I had to have it. Once again, if you're looking for one, maybe you can hit up the Radioactive Resin Kaiju Sculpts and Kits Facebook page and shoot them a message, and maybe they can try and get you one. Or hopefully X Plus can make one at some point based on the idea that I will unveil later on. Or if you really want one, I know Mark Seng made one for a great kaiju collector and enthusiast, Philip Frazier. He made his version of the Imposter Godzilla, and he done a great job with that also. So hopefully between those resources, maybe you can get your hands on the Imposter Godzilla 1974 kit, or at least a version of the Imposter Godzilla 1974. You would not be disappointed. But if you want to go after this one, hit up the Radioactive Resin Kaiju Sculpts and Kits Facebook page, and hopefully you can get your hands on one, and hope you can get and build and paint it to your liking, and you'll be in hog heaven like I am right now. So let's do a few size comparisons, and normally towards the tail end of my videos, I talk about the film involving said model kit or said figure. But what I'm going to do when I do the size comparisons, 'cause I got three, right? When I do the size comparisons, I talk about my thoughts on the film involving the size comparisons, and that way we can go ahead and speed things up a little bit more, or speed things up faster, you know. So let's go with the first size comparison. Let's bring up the 30 centimeter X Plus Anguirus 1968. And let's go to that size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the first size comparison, and alongside the Imposter Godzilla 1974 kit from Radioactive Resin Kaiju Sculpts and Kits. I have the X Plus 30cm Anguirus 1968 figure. Yes, yes, yes. So as you can see, they look well together and they size well together. Once again, this was a great scene in the film. It really was a great scene in the film. And this scene did so many different things, you know. When the Imposter Godzilla first shows up. Now, when you first see Godzilla, it's actually the main 74 suit that will be used for the real Godzilla throughout the film. And I kind of like how, remember how in the beginning of the film, you first see Anguirus, right? Then you see the, obviously he's on Monster Island, right? And after that, we see a mountain explode, you know, and we hear Godzilla's roar. So basically, that's Godzilla making his appearance. But you don't see Godzilla, you know. I thought that was a great scene. But I like how they didn't show Godzilla and just waited until, you know, the disguised Godzilla started attacking. That way you wouldn't know what Godzilla looked like. So I kind of like how they did that, you know, involving the beginning of the film and when Mechagodzilla, or the disguised Mechagodzilla, does make his appearance. And I like how in that part of the film, you know, we see this version of Godzilla, the superhero look of Godzilla, destroying buildings, destroying that hotel, or destroying the refinery. And then out of nowhere, Anguirus shows up. And I like how, you know, they kind of explain, at least they reference, that even though that the Showa series is kind of loose with its continuity, you know, but when that character sees Anguirus fight Godzilla, or at least this version of Godzilla, the character says, why does Anguirus attack his friend Godzilla? Or if you remember in the English dub version, his exact words were, something's wrong. Anguirus shouldn't attack his friend Godzilla. That was so funny to me. But anyways, my point is, I like how they were able to reference that at this point, Anguirus and Godzilla were friends based off, you know, their interaction, and Godzilla was the guy again. So I like how they kind of like threw that little touch of continuity into the film involving that scene. But Anguirus, he's a tough kaiju, he really is, but he really he got beat down just you know, just brutally, you know. And ironically, that was the last time we would ever see Anguirus in the Showa series, you know, and he didn't pop back up again until Final Wars, kind of like King Caesar from this film. But it was a cool battle, you know. It just shows how dangerous and brutal Mechagodzilla was, you know. And the fact that he cripples Anguirus to the point that Anguirus couldn't continue to fight. That's one thing about Anguirus. Anguirus is probably one of the toughest kaijus out there, right? And that was referencing Godzilla was a guy again, no matter what was done to him. Whether he was slammed by King Ghidorah, whether he's got his face sliced open by a guy again, whether he got bashed in the head by a guy again. Anguirus just kept coming and coming and coming. He would not stop. He would not give up. But in this film, Mechagodzilla damaged him so badly that Anguirus had no choice but to retreat, you know. And it's kind of like a weird Godzilla Raise Again type of dynamic, you know, where it shows Godzilla and Anguirus fighting, you know, even though it's not the real Godzilla. But so many different things, different things involved in that scene just set up the movie so well. And poor Anguirus, but at the same time, you gotta give him credit. But at the same time, it just shows how brutal and how dangerous Mechagodzilla would be throughout the remainder of the film. And so that's what I think about when I put these two together. That's one thing about this Imposter kit. You can either put it with this figure as well as other X Plus figures to create great setups. And we'll talk about that in a few seconds. But for right now, as you can see, he looks well up against the Imposter Godzilla. Just watch your back, Anguirus. He may mess up your jaw again. But once again, size comparison, the first size comparison looks great. X Plus 30cm Anguirus 1968 does great with this Imposter Godzilla 1974. And that's pretty much it with the first size comparison. So let's now go to the second size comparison. And let's bring up the King of the Monsters himself. And let's see how the Imposter Godzilla 1974 goes up against the real Godzilla with the X Plus 30cm Godzilla 1975. And let's go to that size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the next size comparison, and alongside the Imposter Godzilla 1974, I have the real deal. Yes, the real King of the Monsters himself, the X Plus 30cm Godzilla 1975 from Mechagodzilla. Now, I know there can be some folks that's OCD out there talking about that's not the same Godzilla from the film and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a couple of reasons that's true, because for one, they have not made a 1974 Godzilla yet. either 30 centimeter or 25 centimeter scale. But this is the next best thing because the 1975 suit is a modified version of the 74 suit. So I think you can get away with this setup here. And as you can see, they look well together. They pair well together. They're pretty much the same size. The Imposter probably has a little bit more size to them, just a little bit. But you know, once again, you can't tell me that these two don't look great together because they do. And this represents basically my favorite moment from the Showa period. Back in G-Fest in July of last year, we had a panel, the Summit Kaiju Photo Contest panel, and we had a whole bunch of great people on the panel. You know, Richard Iso, Jeremy Souls, David Abdopko, John Bumpus, John Ruffin, a few other people. And I was the host of that event. And I would ask them, or at least I asked my my fellow co-hosts, what was their favorite moment from the Showa period? And I got lots of different answers, you know, whether it's Godzilla rising out of the dirt in Mothra vs. Godzilla, or maybe Godzilla coming out of the iceberg in 62, or the final battle of Destroy All Monsters. And I chimed in there, and to this day, my favorite moment from the Showa period, and yes, there have been lots of great moments from the Showa period. Like I mentioned, Mothra vs. Godzilla, where Godzilla comes out the ground. Him coming out the iceberg in 62, the iconic attack of Tokyo in 1954, him going to Planet X in Monster Zero, the final battle in Destroy All Monsters. But for me, the best moment, or at least my favorite moment from the Showa period that makes me mark out to this day, is this moment right here when the Imposter Godzilla comes across the real Godzilla. That moment is just so awesome to me, and the way they play that moment up was so amazing. Now, when it comes to Imposter Godzilla, you know, even though this film was made towards, you know, for children, you know, you kind of knew from the beginning that when Godzilla starts attacking Japan, that it wasn't the real Godzilla because he didn't do his iconic roar. He did that kind of, that machine type roar that would be Mechagodzilla's roar. And every time he took a step, it sounded like something mechanical or something made of metal was taking a step. So it's not like they were trying to hide the fact that it wasn't a real Godzilla, but, you know, they kind of like, you know, through subtle hints that maybe, you know, that it was, whatever. That's why when you see Godzilla fight Anguirus later on, they intercut between the Imposter suit and the original suit to try to confuse fans more. But you knew from the beginning that it wasn't the real Godzilla. So you knew at some point the real Godzilla at some point will pop up and arrive to challenge him. And when he does, it's such a great scene. It really is. Mechagodzilla, or Disguised Godzilla, is destroying that oil refinery, which is so awesome. Then all of a sudden, Godzilla just pops up out of a building. One of the weirdest appearances he has ever done. But still, when you first see Godzilla and the other Godzilla face off against each other, when you see the two Godzilla sizing each other up, you can't help but just mark out because it's such a great moment. It really is such a great moment. Espos has done a great job with the 75 Godzilla, even though I have to say that he's a little bit bigger than what he should be, you know. But as you can see here, he looks great alongside the Imposter 74 Godzilla, and this represents, once again, my favorite moment from the entire Showa period, when the two Godzillas face off against each other. Too bad we didn't see that in other Godzilla films, but that's why it makes Mechagodzilla so special to me. This shot right here. So speaking of Mechagodzilla, let's bring up the final figure in the final size comparison in this video. And let's bring up the 30 centimeter Mechagodzilla 1974. And let's go to that size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison. And yes, alongside the Imposter Godzilla 1974, I have the 30 centimeter Mechagodzilla 1974. Yes, both creatures simultaneously right next to each other. Basically the same creature. Because Mechagodzilla was the disguised Godzilla. So this, probably out of all the size comparison, this is probably the one that's most appropriate. Even though the other two were so awesome. But this is great. Now, Mechagodzilla does have a little more of a size advantage because he is on top of that grassy base that came with the figure. But still, I can't help but display this Mechagodzilla with that. But aside from that, they're pretty much roughly the same size. Once again, this kit is a full 30 centimeter figure kit when it's all built and all painted. But as you can see, these look great together, and it's reminiscent of the film, which is something that I really didn't consider because I watched this film so many different times over the years. It's my fifth favorite Godzilla film, my fifth favorite Godzilla film of all time. But one thing that I did not notice until I got this imposter kit in my possession, that really, if you really think about it, this shot represents Mechagodzilla's appearance in the film in more ways than one. Basically, the first half of the film, you see Mechagodzilla disguised as Godzilla. And then the rest of the film, we see what Mechagodzilla truly looks like once he reveals himself, you know, which was an awesome scene, you know. Going back to what I talked about earlier when the two Godzillas face off. It's like Godzilla pops up, right? He shows up. He blows his fire at Mechagodzilla, you know, revealing more of the mechanical interior underneath. Just burning away that pseudo flesh that disguised Godzilla is wearing. And Godzilla just blowing his fire at him, and all of a sudden that flesh just burns from Mechagodzilla's body, and you see the full dangerous robot in all his glory, you know, with his finger missiles, his toe missiles, his laser beams in his eyes, just everything that this Mechagodzilla has is shown for the first time in full glory right here. And Godzilla is still standing there looking at him, talking about, okay, you're just another version of me. Only when Mechagodzilla fires his weapons, Godzilla gets up like, whoa, wait, that hurt. But then after that, you know, that's when Godzilla fires his fire at Mechagodzilla. That's when Mechagodzilla fires his eye beams at Godzilla. And the blast between the two beams basically caused like a giant explosion where Godzilla is knocked back in the ocean where he bleeds, causing folks to believe that he's dead, or at least badly injured. But at the same time, it malfunctioned Mechagodzilla. So at that point, Mechagodzilla at that point becomes really just shut down because they have to make repairs on him. So we really didn't see what Mechagodzilla can truly do until the very end. That's why I say that when it comes to this film, half of its appearance is for the imposter Godzilla, and the rest of its appearance is for him being, you know, fully revealed and stuff like that. So that's why this shot is really, really appropriate. So once again, these look great together, you know, and I'll talk more about Mechagodzilla later on this year. That's why I'm not going to go a lot into the film itself like I normally do with my videos, because I have a feeling that I have a reason to go into the film a whole lot more later on. But hopefully we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But until then, as you can see, these look great together. Once again, Burlee Vang, Paul Gill, Steve Ceragioli, and of course Mark Seng. Thank y'all so much for making this happen. I really do appreciate it. And if you got this kit, I know you appreciate it also. So once again, such a great kit that goes well with certain X Plus figures, so you can't go wrong with this Imposter Godzilla 1974 kit. Hit up Radioactive Resin on Facebook and try and get your hands on this Kaiju kit. It is certainly worth it. Now, I've been talking throughout the video on how you, the audience, or my subscribers, or my supporters, can hopefully try and make this into an X Plus figure at some point. So let's talk about that right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts of the Imposter Godzilla 1974 kit. Once again, I love it. A 10 out of 10. Burlee has done a great job. Burlee, Steve, and Paul has done a great job with the sculpt, with the mold of this kit. Mark Seng has done an incredible job with the paint and assembly of this kit. So this figure gets a 10 out of 10 rating out of me. I love it. I love it. I love it. Such a great representation. Probably the best representation of the Imposter Godzilla out there to this day, in my opinion. Nothing against the Marmot, nothing against the Bandai, but look at this guy. You can't get no better than this, you know? So maybe you can hit up Radioactive Resin on Facebook, contact Burlee, maybe contact Steve. Maybe you can try and get your hands on this kit and have it built and painted to your liking. If you can do it yourself, fine. If not, contact Mark Seng, because he not only also builds original Kaiju sculptures, he can also help you out with building and painting model kits as well if you don't have the patience or the skills to do so. So between those fine gentlemen, there should be no reason why, if you want the Imposter Godzilla 1974, there should be no reason why you can't get your hands on one. Once again, if you can't get a kit, maybe you can contact Mark Seng, maybe he can make you an original one. But contact those fine gentlemen and get your fix on the Imposter Godzilla 1974. Now, I have an idea on hopefully we can make this into an X Plus figure. And we need your support. You, whoever's watching, okay? And normally one of the reasons why I don't really say like, sharing, or comment in my videos, because I'm really amazed and really astounded by the feedback that I get from everybody. So I don't really expect y'all to do that, you know, whatever. But whenever y'all do, I really do appreciate it. But in this particular case, I am going to stress deeply that you share this video. Maybe you share it on either a social platform or either on Facebook or whatever. Let's try and get as many eyes on this as possible. And the reason for that is upcoming soon from X Plus, courtesy of the Favorite Sculptors line. They're going to be making a 25cm Iris from Gamma 3, the Revenge of Iris from 1999. And it's actually, they're using at least a sculpt, or at least a design from an artist. I believe his name is Dope Pope, I believe. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm sorry. But he's a creature designer, and I think he's a digital artist. I don't know much about him, but I do know that he is supplying X Plus with the sculpt of Iris, and they're using that to make the 25cm Iris, and they're putting it out in the Favorite Sculptors line. So that's my idea. Hopefully, if we can get enough eyes on this, or at least enough eyes on what Burlee is doing, maybe we can get X Plus to contact Burlee and see if they can use his sculpt of the Imposter Godzilla to make a 25cm or a 30cm 1974 Godzilla kit. That's my idea. So that's why I say I need you. I need all of you. If you can, share this video. Tell your friends. You can share it on whatever you want to. I don't care. You don't need my permission. I'm giving you permission right now to use this video however you see fit, so we can get as much eyes on this as possible, and hopefully we can get some people from X Plus involved. That way we know what's going on here. That way they know what's going on here. They can contact Burlee, and hopefully they can use Burlee's sculpt of the Imposter Godzilla 1974 to eventually make an X Plus figure of the Imposter Godzilla 1974. So that's my idea, okay? Let's get enough eyes on this. Let's get behind this. Let's get behind Burlee and his vision, Steve and his vision, Paul and his vision. You know, because one thing that's so cool about them, as well as Mark Seng, aside from the fact that they're great, brilliant innovators, artists, you know, just great guys overall, and just great artists, you know, like I said. The one thing about them, they're all collectors like you and I. You know, they're all passionate about the hobby. They love this stuff. They don't look at this as something to do, or look at it as something to do because Godzilla is kind of hot right now. They have been basically long-time and long-term passionate Kaiju fans. And I don't mind giving back, or at least giving whatever I can do to somebody that's trying to make the hobby even better. And the fact that they're fans just like us makes it a whole lot better. So like I said, let's get enough eyes on this. Let's get enough support on this. That way we can get X Plus to contact Burlee to use his sculpt of the Imposter Godzilla 1974, or maybe his upcoming 30cm female Muto. You know, whatever. Let's get enough support behind Burlee, and especially behind the Imposter Godzilla 1974, and hopefully we can make this happen for people who want this kit, or at least want this character in their collections at some point in the future. So that concludes my review of the 30cm resin model kit of the Imposter Godzilla 1974, also known as the disguised Mechagodzilla from the epic Showa Kaiju flick, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. If you have any questions, holler me down in the comment section, or hit me up on Facebook via Leslie P. Chambers. We'll definitely go from there. Yes, such a great, magnificent, awesome, incredible piece. Yes, it is. Hit up Radioactive Resin, Kaiju Sculpts and Kits on Facebook, on their Facebook page. Send them a message, and hopefully they can try and get you one of these kits, you know, whatever. So, yes, hit up Radioactive Resin, Kaiju Sculpts and Kits on Facebook. Once again, such an awesome representation. Probably the most perfect representation of the Imposter Godzilla 1974 that's out there. Nothing against the Bandai, nothing against the Marmot, but once again, you can't get no better than this. So I highly recommend you go after this kit. You will not be disappointed. Or you can hit up Mark Seng, and hopefully, if they don't have enough kits on the Facebook page, maybe you can hit up Mark Seng and have him create an original sculpture of the Imposter Godzilla. But either way, hit up either one of those resources to try and get your hands on the Imposter Godzilla 1974. Once again, let me give a huge shout out and thank you to Burlee Vang, most of all, Steve Ceragioli, Paul Gill, and last but not least, Mark Seng. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making this happen. I really do appreciate it. And once again, to all the my subscribers, to my supporters, to my viewers out there, let's get behind this. Let's get behind this sculpt, and let's get this in front of the right people. Like I said, share this video. You can share it on whatever platform you want. I'm giving you my permission to share it, or at least, you know, share it however you see fit. But we got to get this in front of X Plus. We have to. And hopefully at some point, hopefully they can contact Burlee and Steve or Paul or whatever, and hopefully they can make this happen by making this an X Plus figure down the line. Hopefully with your support, we can definitely make that happen. You know, now when it comes to my next video, you have to wait until the very end of the video to find out what that is. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to doing that review. After that video is done, because I have been doing a lot of Showa stuff lately. Don't get me wrong, I love Showa, but I like to do a lot of variety here on the channel, because I know recently, you know, I'm doing the Imposter 74. My video before that was the Flying King Ghidorah 68. The video before that was the 30cm Rick 1967 Godzilla. So I'm gonna take a break from Showa, at least for the foreseeable future. Now more Showa figures are coming, or at least more Showa reviews are coming. But after this next video, I'm probably going to go towards the Heisei. I'm probably going to do the 30cm X Plus Fire Rodan, or the double review of the Godzilla 1989, the 25cm and the 30cm Rick versions of that figure. So expect more Heisei content coming in the future. But until then, hit up Radioactive Resin on Facebook. Try and get your hands on this kit, or hit up Mark Seng to see if he can make you an original one. And please, we need your support. I need your support. Let's get this in front of the right people, and hopefully we can have an X Plus 30cm or 25cm figure of the Imposter Godzilla 1974. Hopefully we can make that happen, but we can't have that happen without your support. But until then, get your hands on this kit. You will not be disappointed with the Radioactive Resin's Kaiju Sculpts and Kits version of the 30cm resin sculpt of the Imposter Godzilla 1974 from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Alright? So I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on next figure move review. Alright? Y'all take it easy.